What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarich, with a very special and exciting episode of Talk Island ahead of you, our new podcast covering Love Island USA. First up, let me introduce my co-host for this week, returning champion from last week, back to back, from Get Huda Out to Get Huda Out week 2. We have Adam Blevins. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing good. I don't remember the last time that I was on an episode, back-to-back episodes of the Agents of Fandom podcast in back-to-back weeks. It feels so good to be back here, and we have so much to talk about. If you had asked me last week, which you did ask me last week, how I thought things were going to look at this point, I thought very different than how they look now. So we have a lot to talk about.
I find it so interesting how typically the most seasons I've seen of Love Island go kind of like more exciting, and everybody's coupled up. We're near the end, and it just is boring right until the finale. This is not a steady climb of a season. There is no steady climbing. It is nothing, boring, nothing, chaos, nothing, boring, nothing, chaos again. And it has just been absolutely wild. And so we couldn't do a 2-person booth. We had to make it a 4-person booth. And so joining us this week, we have our fellow Agent of Fandom, Caroline. How are you doing, Caroline?
I am doing so good. I am so happy to be here. This is my first season of Love Island, so I am seated. I am ready to discuss. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get started. I have my hot takes. I really do.
Oh, I am excited. I can't wait to dive into this with you. And joining us as well is my sibling, and I'm very excited to be able to have you on the show. Kat McLean, actor extraordinaire. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited. Last night, as soon as I finished watching the episode, I literally texted TJ and was like, hi, if you're having a conversation tomorrow, I'd really love to be a part of it. So I really am so happy to be here.
We are so happy to have you on. I was texting you like my live thoughts as I'm going through the most recent episode today, catching up on it this morning. And it was just pissed until the last 10 seconds. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe this is pretty fun.
Truly, I was getting text messages from my friends where they were like, I'm furious. Next person, I too am furious. Oh my God, I'm furious again. And I was like, guys, I'm 15 minutes in. Please just give me a second.
My friend had seen the episode after me, so I had known what was happening. Like I had known already. So she's texting me frantically, like, what? And I'm like, I have to stay calm. Like, I have to let her do her thing, because like she doesn't even realize that like the last literal 10 seconds of that hour and 10-minute long episode, maybe even hour and a half, is gonna like actually change everything. And it did.
It really did. And before we dive in, full spoilers, we want to give the chat and the live viewers a chance to funnel in, whether you're joining us live or joining us after the fact. All we ask is that you hit the like button on the video, help us grow this community, battle that YouTube algorithm, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to the Agents Fandom wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on socials at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. I also want to know from the three of you, oh, that was cool. That's why you got to watch this video.
I think that's
Caroline found a cool way to get hearts.
Yeah, I guess I did. Hold on. Can I do it? I think Apple like introduced a bunch of new features. So shout out Apple, I guess. I don't know.
I did that this morning on another show of mine then I was doing baseball, and like a cool thumbs up came, and then I could never get it back again. So maybe we'll figure it out before the end of the show, or we'll just have a bunch of awkward hand gestures happening at all times. But Caroline and Kat, I've never done this with you. And Adam, I know you saw a movie today. And so I want to know what you're watching. What has everyone been watching in their own time outside of Love Island? Caroline, I'll start with you first. What you been watching?
Ooh, okay. So I actually saw Materialists 2 nights ago. Guys, I think with that one, the commentary was there. The idea was there. but the execution I did not love. I thought everything dragged on. I thought that they kept trying to just rehash the same commentary about how dating is a math game and it's just a checkbox. And I knew that. And it just kept going and going and going and going. And Dakota Johnson was like saying every line like she was like recording a GPS, like, you don't check all the boxes. Like very like quiet. I was like, okay, I need more from you. And I usually really love Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal in everything ever. I love them both. And I found like I was like just whatever on them. They both looked great, but I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, I knew from the like spoiler, so sorry, but I knew right away like what was gonna happen during like the first fifth of the movie. I was like, okay, come on. And even then I was just like, okay on it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I don't know. It's going to cause there's a lot of talk about it. And I can see why.
Interesting. Still one that I'm excited to go see. I haven't had a chance to go see it in theaters, and I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to. It might have to be one I wait for streaming or at least video on demand or Blu-ray, just because I haven't had a chance to get out to the theater because I've been so busy with work. And then as soon as I'm less busy with work, well, it's Superman and it's Fantastic Four, and probably a good chance I'm going to want to see each of those multiple times. And so it might be tough to go see the Materialists in theaters. I will if I can, but I don't know if I'll get the chance. Kat, how about you? What you been watching?
So recently I actually pressed play on Jersey Shore. I've never watched Jersey Shore before. I'm currently on season 2 in Miami, and I've been making jokes that it's the original Summer House because I was like looking for something after I finished Summer House this season. And it's hilarious because Jersey Shore came out when you and I were in high school, TJ. And so it's just like so wild to like remember all of these things from back when we were in high school and how many of those things that happened in that TV show became trends. So
I gotta see if I can find a photo of myself from high school where we had a Jersey Shore themed pep rally
wow.
in high school. And I gotta see if I can find this like old high school photo of myself. I'll throw it up on the screen, but I don't like it's gonna take some deep digging in Facebook. I'm looking through my old photos right now at the beginning of my phone and it's not there. So I'll do some digging over the course of the show while other people are talking, and if I can find it, I'll throw it up on the screen.
Did you have a carrot, like a person in mind when you were getting ready, like and dressed that way? Like were you trying to emanate somebody?
I don't think so, and I think I was more of just like the vibe. I remember I had like a gray tank top on and some that was really tight, and I had some sunglasses, and that's all I remember from it. But I'll see if while other people are talking throughout the show, I will try and do some digging and find it, and if I can, I'll throw it up on the screen. Adam, how about you? What you been watching?
Well, literally, I mean, as you said, I just got out of a movie. I went and saw a movie today, and I finally had the chance to go see 28 Years Later. And I'll say just to, like a little bit of backstory on that. You know, I watched 28 Days Later earlier this year, and I'm not a horror person at all. I do not like horror. Like, you're not going to catch me going to see the new A24 horror movies and that kind of stuff every weekend. But I'd heard so many people for years. I mean, I love Cillian Murphy, and I'd heard so many people for years talk about how good the 28 Days Later movie was. So, and, you know, it was in this big streaming black hole for so long, like for years until earlier this year. The only way to watch the movie was if you had a physical copy. You couldn't even like rent it on Amazon or anything. Well, then it finally got added to Vive earlier this year. Like you could rent it on like Prime Video and stuff. So I did that for like a couple bucks. And it's awesome. I do like zombie stuff. That's kind of where I'm a little more willing to be lenient when it comes to horror, is if it also deals with zombies. I don't care about ghost possession, all that kind of stuff. I don't care about that. But I watched it. I thought it was amazing. So that kind of hyped me. I'm one of those people too that I knew I was going to get really, really bad FOMO because everybody was talking about it. And I'm like, if 28 Years Later comes out and everybody's watching it and talking about it, and I can't just skip out. Like I'm going to have to watch it in some way. So I did that. I loved it. And then I wanted to go see 28 Years Later this weekend. I didn't have a chance. And like you said too, both of y'all were talking about Materialists, another movie that I wanted to see, but it's probably going to be a wait to streaming watch for me, just because, like you said, TJ, there are so many great things coming out soon and just not enough time unless you want to go to the theater. 3 times a week. But no, 28 Years Later was great, and I really recommend it for people who like thrillers, but like also aren't a big fan of like horror stuff. Like if you're, because it's not a lot of jump scares. It's not like if you don't like horror stuff, you're not going to go in and be watching through it's not like that. It's more, the horror kind of creeps up on you, and that you're prepared for it. And even then, it's not really scary as much as you're just like your heart's beating really fast, and they find themselves out of a situation. But no, Danny Boyle, Alex Garland, 2 really great filmmakers, a great pair right there. So no, I can't recommend 28 Years Later enough if you're on the fence about going to see it. And I think 28 Days Later too is streaming for free on Pluto TV right now for those who are interested in kind of getting into it. So. TJ, you're muted.
Sorry, dogs were barking, and then I was pulling up the photo, and so I didn't actually have the thing set up here, and so I couldn't get back to myself to unmute. I haven't been watching anything that exciting for me personally. Like I've been trying to I've caught up on Love Island, and we've just started watching Will Trent, which I talked about last week. I'm not sure if is that on Hulu for you guys, or is that on Disney Plus in the States as well?
It's Hulu.
It's Hulu
in the States. Yep.
Yeah, so we started watching Will Trent. We're on season 3 of that. It's a show that both my partner Ava and I really enjoy. And other than that, I don't think I've really been watching anything new. Like I'm continuing my watch through of Legend of Korra. And other than that, I don't think I've really gotten on anything new lately. But what I have done is finally found this photo. So again, that's why you got to watch us on YouTube. Here's high school TJ.
Oh my God.
That was my friend Kendra, and this is our Jersey Shore pep rally. I spiked my hair into a faux hawk.
Wow.
That's great.
This picture is a time capsule.
That's
That was worth the wait.
exceptional, TJ. Thank you so much for doing the work of finding that.
Took some digging, but there is myself in grade 12 helping run the Jersey Shore pep rally. But instead of, as ridiculous, I feel better showing stuff off like that for the Love Island show, because as ridiculous I look, as I look in that photo, it is nowhere near as ridiculous as all these people make themselves look each and every episode in Love Island. So, Caroline, I want to start with you. You said this is your first Love Island. What made you start watching it?
Honestly, it was TikTok. I got a little exhausted of hearing names and hearing like things about the show and not knowing the context. And I said, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to hunker down. I'm going to watch it. I have not seen all of season 7 because I think I caught up on like 14 or 15. That's a lot of TV to watch. I decided to kind of go through. I got some TikTok recaps. I did like a mix of that. I did a mix of watching full episodes. I got like clip and compilation after compilation. I did my research. I've practically seen the whole thing just without having to sit down and watch it. Because honestly, what I've noticed about the show now, like sitting down every day and watching it, honestly, most of it is kind of boring. Like you're watching a lot of these people just like talking for a little bit. And at the end, like the last fourth of it is really when it picks up and you have to sit. But the thing is that the chats are also important. Like it's weird. It's like you have to do your homework, but at the same time, you really don't. I don't know. It's been really interesting though. I took a reality TV class in college, like studied this. I studied reality TV. I studied psych. It's I don't know. I feel like this is very Love Island, like reality TV, but especially Love Island is very much like humans wanting to watch other humans interact in like a very like instinctive primal way, which I found very fun. And it was very fun for me too, to analyze everybody and analyze all the dynamics and all that stuff. I've really enjoyed myself, even though I've heard this season is nowhere near the majesty and wonder of last season. Like I've still enjoyed it. I've still had a good time, and I'll probably be tuning in next year as well. So yeah, it's been really, really fun.
Heck yeah, I love to hear that. Kat, how about you? When did you start? I can't be certain, but I feel like we may have started at the same time. I can't remember if it was you convinced us to watch or we convinced you to watch. I could be way off on that, though.
I'm not 1,000% sure. I feel like it did start with you, Ava, and I all watching maybe a season of US together, and then it kind of spurred into other versions of the franchise. So like because Ava was the one who told me to watch Love Island Australia, because those producers hit different. They're willing to do whatever they want on some of those.
Yeah.
And like it's so total chaos. But it's so interesting because I do feel like, touching on what you said, Carolyn, is that it's like last year's season, like the wonder and the magic of it. It was good. Last season was good, but it's like even that season needed the season before, because you needed Rob, who came in on Casa Amour, and then he became a main cast member in last season. And because of that, this season, like they're also trying new things, which is leading to some of the chaos that we're seeing now, because so many people have tuned in this year to be like I think this is the most streamed season that they've ever had.
I think it's also the most streamed show on television right now.
Yeah,
It
I think
is.
it got more. I think it got more stream. Like it was more people were watching Love Island than they were the NBA Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Like it was crazy.
But like, how can you not, when TikTok is literally giving you 7 videos of somebody going, "Mommy,
Mamacita,
mamacita"?
I was
mommy.
sitting there.
I
mommy,
I was
dog,
sitting there.
Mama, what a dog.
So like we just got a new mayor of, or not mayor, sorry, a new Democratic primary winner for the mayor of New York City race, and I was sitting there like thinking, is this too niche? Is this too niche of a tweet for me to go, Mam Dani, Mamacita? How many people will actually clue into what this is from?
I think like way more people than you could ever imagine would understand that reference. That was.
I was so proud of myself when I thought of that.
The funniest part too, I won't take credit for this thought, but I saw it somewhere that I can't remember who it was. But like the funniest part of it is that Nick, like he said that earlier in the season, and then he has not. You just know he hasn't even thought about that scent. Like that to him was just like a passing comment. He has no idea that the entire world, millions of people have been recreating it, joking about. Like he's gonna get out and be like, "Oh, like I just said that," and then forgot about it 5 minutes later. But there's like that disconnect. I always forget how disconnected they really are from the real world until like one of them, like you've seen Jeremiah and Hannah recently going on podcast, like who I know we're going to talk about in a little bit, but like I always forget, like, then I see that and I'm like, man, they really have no idea, allegedly have no idea what's going on. So it's just so funny, some of these big moments. I'm like, they have, like Huda too, she has no idea the whole world's been making fun of her for 2 weeks now.
That was one of the hilarious things when like originally America voted to partner up Iris and Jeremiah, and everyone's like, oh, America knows something you don't. I was like, no, America just wants chaos. Like, don't trust America.
Yeah, really.
When has America been trustworthy for anything?
Period. I would unfortunately have to agree with that.
I wanted to do, in my little Scottish accent, just like the Love Island hosts previously on Love Island, but I went Australian every time I tried it, and I couldn't not go Australian, and so I'm not going to try it. But a quick recap. So full on spoiler warning for Love Island USA season 7. We are diving into it now. Some surprise vote offs where America votes. They got their bottom 3. The boys, I think bottom 3 was basically what everyone expected. Jeremiah, Pepe, and Austin, probably everyone's least favorite. And then going to the girls side of thing, I think it was quite a surprise for many that Huda was not on the chopping block, and that it was Amaya, Hannah, and Iris. Was Iris the third?
Yes, Iris was the third.
Iris was the third. That makes sense to an extent because it is none of the OGs, right? Everybody who's been there for a while. And to be fair, Huda's been a lot more enjoyable to watch since her and Jeremiah broke up. And I've like officially like expanded. Like I actually thought that I did not get annoyed by Huda in these last 2 episodes.
Well, I don't think they've really been showing her very much though. She's kind of taken a backseat. I thought for the majority of the first part of the season, like she was like her and Jeremiah were the main story. They were the headline. They were the breaking news. Everyone was curious. Even within the villa, they were like, Huda and Jeremiah. And then he left. And I sort of feel like since they've gotten to Casa, the drama has had nothing to do with Huda. She's just been hanging out. I think she's been getting along with JD. And yeah, she hasn't been doing much. And I kind of love that for her. I think that's what she needed. I said, when they were going to Casa, I was like, she needs a win. And her win through all of this, I think, is her taking a back seat. Her not being involved in anything, letting everyone else kind of take the driver's seat and let the drama go. Will that mean that she's out of the drama for the rest of the season? Who knows? I'm probably not, knowing Huda. But at the same time, like, it's been, I honestly think it's been really refreshing, and I think it's a big win for her. And I hope she can continue her winning streak. Honestly, like, I think I felt bad. I want to see her win. Like, I don't know, not win the whole show, but I guess just win, like, personally within the villa. Do I want to see her win the show? No, not really. But if that makes sense.
I want to see her win therapy and get the help that she needs and get out of this rut and go get some counseling.
I agree. Although
last week,
I heard production brought in counseling. Like, there was a rumor that they brought that in for her to make sure that, like, she was mentally okay with being on the show. And if she was not, they were going to take her off, maybe even off screen.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I don't know where I saw that rumor.
That's something that all reality shows should need, because that would be an absolutely terrifying experience.
Exactly.
I will say briefly that I think Leah and someone else, I think it may have been Janae from last season, said that there is a psychiatrist on standby in the villa, like 20, just for anybody to go talk to, is what they said. I assume they kept that rule into this season, but one of the Islanders from last season said they have somebody that's just, they can walk right in, like, I mean, obviously off camera, but like they can talk to them anytime, which is good, because the show would probably be even more chaotic and messy if they did not have that.
I'd be in that bitch every day.
I even think about, like, what was his name? Jalen. Like, that was his first time traveling outside of the country.
He got a passport for it.
I know, it was so sweet, but, like, I was just thinking, like, for him, even to have somebody to talk to understand where he's coming from, of being like, yeah, I've never been away from my family or my friends or out of the country somewhere else. So it's good that they've got somewhere to land or someone to land with.
Couldn't agree more. Very well said. And I think, Adam, when you and I talked last week, if we would have put betting odds or like put some money down on who goes home first, Huda or Jeremiah, we would have thought Huda for sure. But it's bye-bye Jeremiah. He gets sent home. It's hasta la vista, Hannah. I'm trying to do some alliteration or some rhyming with each of these. And the biggest parts after these two get sent home is Casa Amour is not regular Casa Amour. We are getting Casa Amour with a twist. And that twist is they have to couple up with one of the Casa people, and the person who does not get sent home. Or so we thought. Let's dive into it. First things first, let's talk about the vote off. America voted, and for the boys, it's Jeremiah, it's Austin, and it's Pepe. Adam, I want to throw it to you first. What did you think of how the vote went down, and who did you want to go home?
I wanted Austin to go home, but I'll say that one of the craziest parts about it was watching Jeremiah during the whole thing, because you can see, and I'm far from the first person to say this either, but you can see him, like, as they start talking, he's like figuring out, he's like, I saw somebody do the Euphoria thing to her that, wait, is this fucking play about us? Like, that's what it, like, so much, it was so true, because you can see him in real time being like, because they're saying this person hasn't handled the experience, like, they're not trying out the experience. They keep like locking themselves off to one person, which one, for Ace to even say that when his biggest friend, Taylor, has been talking to the same person since day one, for him to be like, you're not testing the waters and doing the experience, right? One was fucked up, but no, like, those boys really got Jeremiah. And, like, was Jeremiah a perfect partner to Huda? Absolutely not. No, he was not. But those boys got Jeremiah out because he was a threat to them. Both of the two bombshells that came in immediately went to him, especially with Andrina. We saw Andrina go right to him. Even though Nick wanted to talk to her, she was clearly way more interested in Jeremiah than she was Nick. And it really, to be honest, just seemed messy to me that they got him out like that, because it did not – they said, like, allegedly, they had their reasons and this kind of stuff for not playing the game and not doing stuff the right way. But none of the stuff they said matched up to what we had seen, because Jeremiah had – like, he tried early on even to talk to other people, and Huda was like going crazy. I don't blame. He was probably terrified. I don't blame him for not wanting to talk to anybody else. And as soon as they finally broke things off, he immediately formed a connection with somebody else and started talking to him. And I'm like, how else are you supposed to? If he's not playing the game the right way, then I don't know what else he could have been doing. Just because it seemed like, based on what they try to push and what they want them to do, that's exactly what he was doing. So I was very surprised, and I felt like it came off earlier in that day too. Austin basically telling the whole world he didn't give a fuck about Amaya. He was like, yeah, I'm not like feeling this connection with her. She's feeling me way more. Like I'm not Lacey. Sorry. It wouldn't be an Agents of Fandom podcast without my dog, without, Lacey for years now. It's just been harassing me while we do these podcasts. But no, I really thought I was afraid of Jeremiah going home, but I thought it was going to be Austin, like hopefully, just because it seemed at that point, like if you're voting based on the game, like the terms of engagement for this game is like strongest connections. Austin he's dished his connection with Shelly at this point. His only one is with Amaya, and he made it clear he's not interested in her. He seemed like the clear and obvious choice to go home, and then it seemed like the boys just did what benefited them and not what was best for the show going forward. So I was very surprised.
And Jeremiah has spoken out on, like you said, he's hit the podcast circuit since he's been voted off. And that is what I miss so much about originally doing this podcast with our friend Lee Swift. Every time we were talking reality TV, who is, of course, a finalist on season 2 of The Circle on Netflix. And anytime we'd cover The Circle and somebody gets voted off, it'd be like, hey, Lee, can you use your connections, get their number, and see if they want to come on the podcast? And they would, and it'd be a great show, and we'd have them on. And I wish we could do that with Love Island too. Like, Jeremiah, Hannah, give us the tea of Inside the Villa. And both of them have opened up, and they've been calling people out. Jeremiah said that, like, he was not surprised with what Ace did. Ace has disliked him since the very beginning when he, I don't remember what bombshell it was. I think it was maybe Ulissa from the beginning, actually. He reached his cheek out to get a kiss instead of taking the kiss right after Ace, who was with Shelly at the time, just went in for the kiss, and it messed up Ace's early shot with Shelly. And Jeremiah says that Ace has had a grudge against him since then. Kat, what do you think of Jeremiah's comments? What do you think of the vote, and who did you want to go home?
I also wanted Austin to go home, because also Austin is somebody who is not trying, like, with any of the girls. Like, that was the most frustrating thing about watching him with Shelly, was that Shelly would be like, Ace is putting in a lot of work, and I just want to know that you are also interested. And he'd be like, well, it's just so hard to be in a love triangle. And it's like, yeah, but you're not putting in the same amount of effort as Ace is, like with breakfast and these date ideas and things like that. Like, Shelly has to come up to you while you're working out just to spend some time with you. And then for him to be, first of all, choose Amaya without giving Shelly the heads up, which ultimately worked out in everyone's favor-ish. But then he gets to Amaya and he's like, yeah, I wanted somebody who's obsessed with me, but now someone's obsessed with me and I don't give a shit. I was like, oh my God. Please go. Please leave. Like, what are you doing? You're not even, your version of this experience, you are not doing it. With Jeremiah, the stuff with Jeremiah and Huda was so messy, and it was like there's a lot of things where I was like, ooh, that is mostly Huda, and Jeremiah's not doing, like, she's like really painting this big picture of him. But then ultimately, like, there were some places where I was like, Jeremiah really is like, he wants somebody to take care of him in a way that, like, he's not ready to take care of somebody else. Like, he's always thinking about himself first. But yeah, like, when all of the guys were like, correctly, the guys were like, you should have gone to check on Huda. Yes, he should have. But then they were like, yeah, man, like, your new connection, what is that about? And he was like, I'm doing what you said. You told me to explore new connections, and now I am, and now you're mad. Like, there's no winning with y'all. And so I can understand why he was upset. But I ultimately think that either Huda or Jeremiah had to go home for this season to actually truly progress, because otherwise there still would have just been weirdness.
That's a really good point, and I'm happy we are at this point, because it was like, Carolyn, you brought it up earlier, Huda has been a much healthier sounding and looking person since this connection has been officially severed. How about you? Who did you want to go home of the 3 boys, and what did you think of how it all went down?
Oh, I wanted Austin 100%. I think we're all in agreement. I think most of the country was in agreement that they wanted Austin out. I think people have wanted Austin out for a long time. The fact that honestly he's lasted this long is kind of shocking. I thought he was going to go home yesterday. I thought also Ace was going to go home yesterday. Neither of them did. I don't know. I think Jeremiah, to me, I don't know. I think he should have stayed. I think both Jeremiah and Huda should have stayed, but also at the same time, I don't. I'm sort of indifferent on Jeremiah. As much as I have more opinions on Huda than I do Jer, I think he deserved better from the boys. I think Ace is kind of the main villain. Like he is very smart, but that means he's manipulative and he knows how to get what he wants. He has Nick and he had Taylor tied around his finger for most of that. He knew, like, he saw things that other people didn't and then knew how to flip situations on them. And the country saw it, America saw that, but like in the villa, like there are things, obviously you're not like getting third party opinions, like you're only in your own head. And there are like within those social circles, like you can see it, they're not understanding that what they don't see what we see, and what we see I think is the correct like kind of view of it, of how Ace is the leader. He is the ringmaster of this whole circus, and he has everybody doing their own and he has everyone else's circus animal, and they're all doing their own tricks, and he's just continuing to rise up, and he knows exactly what he's doing. I have more opinion because like based on Jer leaving, I have more opinions on Ace than I do Jer. That's my take.
I love how the Summer I Turned Pretty fandom comes out when you're talking about Jeremiah, and when just like, oh yeah, Jer, that's my guy, Jer.
Oh, no.
I know that's not your guy. I know that's not your guy, but just like in terms of like something you talk about all the time of like this fandom, you know what I mean? Like,
so it's ingrained.
I know your team comrade.
Oh, of course. Like who doesn't know that at this point? Yeah. Also, I had a hard time rooting for him because of his name to begin with. Like, I'm sorry, he was already a villain in my head. But the more I watched it, like I was like, okay, I understand. But also at the same time, your name is Jeremiah, and I can't get over that. Sorry.
Very funny stuff. And on the ladies' side of things, the boys were pissed. The boys were pissed that it was not Amaya getting sent home, and I don't think any of the girls knew that this, distance was happening between Amaya and Austin. Amaya had kind of brought up to them, like, I'm not sure. I don't really know what he's given me. But they didn't know that he was like, I'm done. Because he hadn't communicated that with anybody else. And I do think it's so interesting to what we talked about Austin and what you just brought up with Ace, Caroline, is I don't feel like either of them are there for like, I hope I find a girlfriend and hopefully we fall in love.
Yeah.
I think Ace feels very calculated. I'm going to play this role. Hopefully I get a little famous. Hopefully I find love, but hopefully I get a little famous. Hopefully I win 100K. That's kind of the vibe that I get from him, just based on how he's so like, I can't kiss anyone. Don't call me babe. I'm this shy. It takes me a long time. And then others, he's like confident and yelling. The Megan Thee Stallion dance, like dude was dancing like he should have been like he was a member of the Jabberwockies. Like, I don't know any breakdancers other than the Jabberwockies. That's the first people I thought of from, what did they win? What did they won like the first dance reality show. They won something and he was like elite. He was very good at it. And it's like, there's stuff hiding between him and you see him being himself sometimes, but like, it seems like the whole super chill, laid back, like, oh, I'm a slow mover. I don't think that's actually him. I don't think that's who he actually is. And then on the Austin side of things, I also don't think he has any interest in properly playing Love Island. He's just there to make out with hot women. That's why he's there.
He comes off like that. He really does.
Yeah, like that is 100% why he's there. Let's talk about the Hannah side of things, though. Iris, Hannah, Amaya. I know who I hope we got sent home It was not Hannah. This wasn't that devastating for me. Like it's not like I had a real attachment to Hannah, but at the same time, it wasn't her who I wanted to go home. Adam, how about you? What did you think of the decision process of her being sent home, and who did you hope it was?
I agree. I wasn't devastated, but I will say I think she was the worst of the three choices to send home, just because, like, one, she had a really good connection with Charlie that, to be honest, she kind of fucked that up herself by making out with Pepe and then openly being like, wow, like, I'm going to make out with him as many chances as I get. So I was more annoyed with her then when Charlie went home and she was crying. And I was like, you did this. This is your fault. Because if you had not been doing that, America would not have voted you to be with Pepe. But then, I kind of enjoyed the way, I mean, one, Pepe's just been kind of a very quiet gem, but Pepe's been kind of a gem the whole time. He's going with the flow. He's not getting, I was a little annoyed, I'll jump ahead a little bit. I was a little annoyed at Casa when he gave everybody's kiss a 10. And I was like, okay, you don't have to say 10. You don't have to love everybody. It's okay. Like, he needs somebody to like get behind him and be like, you can be tough. You can be mean. It's okay. You don't have to be nice to everybody. But no, I really like the way that they, they kind of figured that out together and got through all that stuff. But then, and seemed like they had a really good connection going both. And I would have liked to, the best part about Casa is like potentially breaking up strong connections. So getting rid of like one of the strongest connections right before we go to Casa just seemed like a bad, like, and I know the producers didn't make that choice themselves, but that seemed like a really bad choice, like, to even set that up. And I thought it was really telling too that the boys were shocked by it too. I thought either one of them, but particularly Amaya, it just going into it, it seemed like it made so much sense for Austin and Amaya to be the ones that were going, because Amaya has still not really like formed a connection with any, to that point, she had not formed a connection with anybody. And even now she's got this really weak connection with Zach with the K or whichever one. I still don't know the Casa boys yet, but he absolutely strikes me as the kind of like, he only picked Amaya to stay on the show, not at all. Like, he will jump from whoever to whoever just to keep a spot on the show. And like, it doesn't even seem like he's that interested in Amaya per se. So I don't know. But also, like, Iris is boring. I'm sorry. Iris is so boring. There's nothing exciting about her. Every chat she's in is really boring. And I'm just like, I don't aggressively dislike her, but I'm just never interested. I'm not interested at all, which in reality TV is a really bad sign, because if you're going to be anything in reality TV, you have to at least be moderately interesting, and she's not. So, and Hannah was entertaining on several occasions, and she had a couple of connections. Like, I wasn't devastated, but it just seemed like she seemed like the worst choice to go home to me by far.
The same spot with me. I think the only people I actually would have been like upset with if them going home would have been Sierra, Olandria, or Shelly. That's like really the only people I have any kind of emotional attachment to on the girls' side. But I still didn't want it to be Hannah. I really wanted it to be Amaya. Kat, how about you?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that, like, after the episode was done is, like, that the biggest part of the conversation between the girls was who hasn't had a good connection yet, who deserves that chance. And so I think that's why they ended up keeping Iris and Amaya, was because they were like, neither of them have had super strong connections, but Hannah has been lucky enough to have two, which I think in some ways is just a different version of the logic. I wasn't super heartbroken by Hannah going home. Hilariously, my partner was sitting beside me during the episode where Charlie went home, and like that iconic shot of Hannah crying next to the pictures of her and Charlie, like she's holding them there. Yeah. And my partner was like, "What happening? Couldn't she have left with him?" I was like, "There's always the option to leave with somebody. She could have made that choice, but she stayed, and things with Pepe were good." But yeah, I was kind of like, people seemed so upset by it, but I wasn't necessarily. I was like, that's Love Island, baby.
For me, it was more so that I just like, God, this was an opportunity to get rid of Amaya, and I have so much trouble watching her. She is nutso.
Amaya papaya, baby. Oh my God. Shut up.
The other day when she said gratitude, I was like,
gratitude.
That was crazy.
I think that's one of my favorite things, is watching Love Island and hearing people say these phrases that they've heard. And it happens on like
using me as an scapegoat.
It's like she's in Wicked and using the Oz terminology. Like in Oz, like they have weird ways, like congratulations, and that like she would fit in right well. And I think that is why I love Amaya. I think she's so sweet. She honestly, like, she's won over a lot of hearts. I think she has a big heart, has not really known how to express it on a show like this, and hasn't really found the guy yet. Even with Zach with a K a little bit, like, I don't think he's the guy, like, he's the guy for her. I don't think the guy for Amaya is in that villa and won't be. Like, I really don't. I love her, I'm glad she stayed. I was really sad to see her in the bottom 3, but at the same time, like, the guy for her is not in this villa. The guy, like, but as far as the one that I wanted to go is Iris. I found her so boring. It's funny because Iris is actually my mother's name. And I found her just so incredibly whatever and boring. At least Hannah had a connection. At least Amaya had heart and had spunk. I just feel like Iris was giving me like, go girl, give us nothing. I felt nothing when I watched her. I was kind of shocked that Iris chose Jeremiah or Jeremiah chose Iris instead of Huda. Like, I understand why he did, but at the same time, like, they were chaotic. I think they made like each other feel a lot of different things. Like, but there was a connection there. Like, there was love there. There was a connection there. There was fire there. I think they just did not know how to properly communicate that. I'm a big purveyor of that trope. I love that trope. Often in my but at the same time, like, yeah, she really gave me nothing. I wish she was the one that went. And I think Amaya deserves a second chance, but like, now that she's in Casa and like, now that she kind of hasn't, given a lot there, I think it's her time. And I hope she knows that if, let's say, America votes her off, or like she gets voted off in some way, that I would not be out of like, oh, we don't want you here. I think it's just about like, the person for you is not here. Like, this is not your place. And not saying that in a bad way, just like, you are better than a lot of these people. Same with Olandria. I feel the same way about her. Like, she's better than this. She's better than this villa.
How dare you compare Amaya to Olandria?
I think they're better than the villa in different ways. I think
Olandria is a perfect goddess, and Amaya sucks.
What? Oh no! Don't say that about
Wow.
I love her. Like,
I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she just is not mentally well enough for reality television.
Yeah,
I would say. I did think if there was anybody for her, it would be Brian. Yeah. I thought when they were introducing the guys, I thought maybe Brian would be an Amaya type of guy. But I have the same issue with Amaya as I do with Huda, is that they both go into intense situations and they'll like hear somebody say something, and then they go back to the group and they'll be like, oh my God, this thing just happened and he literally said this. And it's not true.
Not true.
And it's not true at all. It's like, when you say he literally said this, you can't terribly paraphrase. You can't project your thoughts onto what he was saying. You have to, if you're trying to tell someone this is literally what happened, you have to actually quote what they said. Otherwise, you're completely misrepresenting the situation. And it was like both Huda and Amaya would just kept going in of like, I can't believe this happened and they just said this to me. And it's like, that didn't happen at all. You just made that up. Yeah, I made that up.
This is why movie night is going to be the best episode of this season.
Oh, God.
By far. Movie night is literally like that. Hey, that's an entire movie in and of itself. Like,
there's just some moments where I feel specifically with Jax from Vanderpump Rules, it's like, you do know you're on television, right? Like, everything that you're saying is being filmed. But I watch some of these guys and I'm like, there's cameras everywhere in the villa. There's no such thing as a private conversation. And I don't know, it kind of feels like it's been said like quite a lot in the last few years that like, you can't go on Drag Race without sewing skills anymore. Like, it's been going for so long that you have no excuse. If you don't know how to sew then why did you come on this show? Because you know there's going to be a sewing challenge. And it kind of feels that way with Love Island sometimes, where I'm like, you knew that this is what it was going to be. Like, what, like, even at the beginning when Bella wasn't kissing anybody, I was like, do you know what the premise of this show is?
I want to say one thing about Amaya. I'm very grateful. If her time, is up in the villa, I wouldn't be upset about it. I am grateful for her for giving us we don't want to do that, because I find myself saying that just about every minor thing that I don't want to do now about anything. It's like, would you mind going to fill up my water? No, I don't want to do that. Like, I say that about everything. But I got to say one thing about Huda too, because TJ and you're talking about kind of reminded me. It was driving me nuts listening to her talk to, is it JD, the bombshell in Casa Amour? And she was like, no, I'm chill. I'm not the type to be like, fuck you. And I was like, we have on camera you running around the villa being like, fuck you, Jeremiah, you piece of shit. I was like,
you're a bitch. You're not a man.
Yeah, and I'm like,
a TikTok that clocked that so fast too. Like an hour after that episode aired, there was like an immediate compilation of like every time she had said like fuck you, and I was like, the second she said that, I was like, oh no, my poor girl, they're gonna share her shreds. Like, I'm sorry, that's crazy.
But the thing is that means that he also knows that, right? Because even when she pulled him for that chat, it was like she was like, so you know that I'm a mom because you've been watching, and he was like, yep. And so it's like, how does JD feel in that moment when this person is like, yeah, I'm so chill, and you actively watch them? Like,
I'm so interested in like, what is the actual process for each of these people? Of like, do they just are they all waiting in like a nice hotel somewhere in Fiji to be called in with the option to watch, but they don't have to? There's so many of them that are like, I saw this and I saw this, but there were so many of the guys who had no idea, like of the Casa boys, who had no idea of the things that had already happened in the villa.
I will say another thing from last year, because we got really into it last year, and they apparently it's one of the rules that you have to be up to like a certain, and one of the bombshells from last year, I can't remember who it was, said that they strongly encourage you to watch it, but if you insist against watching it, they'll give you like a highlight reel per se of the things they think it's important that you see, but that because obviously they can't tie somebody up in their hotel and lift their eyes and force them to watch it, but they do want people to be like aware, like but I guess even then, if you send people the highlight reel, they could just ignore it. So, but I know the producers allegedly really want people caught up in what's going on. And I was just watching that thinking like, I know JD saw what happened, and I was just waiting. That's another thing. I wanted it to be a little more messy. Like I wanted him to kind of be like, and everybody to response to everything is just like, yeah, I feel that. Like I really feel that. Yeah, I like that. And I'm like, can somebody say something interesting, please? You're all saying this like you were just programmed in a basement, like in a hotel basement, and just plopped right out onto a couch. You're all saying the same things, talking the same ways, doing the same. I'm like, oh my God, everybody's
that's
so
how it
boring.
feels every single time TJ has, not this TJ, but the Love Island TJ.
Yeah.
Every single time he has a conversation with somebody, I'm like, you're not saying anything at all.
And Huda got curved by him. If Huda can't get with TJ, it was time to send her home. Like, it's the second conversation. Not you, TJ. If anybody in the villa would be lucky to have you. But no, like, because she tried to talk to him that one day, and it was just so clear he wasn't interested. And then the next day, she goes to talk to him again. He's like, "Look, I'm gonna be honest. There's not a romantic connection." And then she has the nerve to, "Can I ask why?" Like, have some self-respect, ma'am. Don't ask why. Get up and move on. TJ is not worthy. One, like, in this case, don't like beg for anybody to be with you in that case, but especially not a guy you've had one chat with. And TJ, the most boring and plain looking dude in the whole, like, if you're going to thirst over somebody, at least thirst over one of the hot ones and like complain about one of the hot ones, not TJ. God.
That was probably one of my favorite parts of last night, or the first night of Casa, when he was rating the kissing competition, and it was like, I don't think he rated anyone higher than a 6.5.
Like, yeah,
he called someone a 2.
And Ariana Maddox is like,
you're fucking yourself over, like, right? Like,
and that was the thing, is like, he was like, oh, like, because somebody said you rated me. You said after my kiss, like the next one was the greatest one, or like it was way better.
I think that was
And-
Grayson who said that to him.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, well, you got to understand." I'm like, if you thought these were girls from the villa, how would that have done you any favors anyway?
Right.
Like,
Right.
there's no reason for you to be like, I don't think he had a game plan.
No, honestly, the guy could be replaced by a houseplant, and I really don't think it would have made a difference. Like, he has a block of driftwood for brains. I'm so sorry. Like, I can't even believe he made it that far. Like, watching the fire pit last night, and watching like the guys that were standing up and like both TJ and Ace made it. I was like, what? Like, what? Like, who? Like, what are these Casa girls seeing that I am not? Because, like, what are we doing? What are we?
Who ended up?
Doing?
Who ended up with TJ? Oh, sorry. Or
It
are
was
we not part
Vanna. It
of the
was
recap?
Vanna that ended up with TJ because, of course. Sorry.
I thought it was so funny that he's just like, he is your classic Love Island bombshell who comes in and it's like, the girls are gonna love me because I'm hot. What else is there to me? Doesn't matter because I'm hot. And then they come into the villa and everybody's hot. What else do you bring to the table? Everybody here is hot. You gotta have a little something else to you. And he just kind of doesn't. He's like the TV sitcom boyfriend who comes in for one episode and it's like all they have to them is like, oh, I'm dating a hot guy. The sex is great. And then they introduce him to the friends and he's like, hey. And that's all there is to the character. And then you maybe reference him one more episode, but then you never see them again. That's who he is. That's kind of who he reminds me of. But the next part I wanted to talk about was that Hannah's exit interview was even more scathing than Jeremiah's. And she went in on Huda because she said that there was a lot to the Huda, Pepe, Hannah situation that was not shown on camera, that was not shown on TV. And prior to her chat with Huda, prior to when she was sitting on Pepe and Huda came in and was like, hey, Pepe, can I pull you for a chat? Huda and Hannah were talking. They were having a conversation. So not only was there a perfect opportunity for Huda to go, hey, I would like to pull Pepe for the chat, but the conversation was Hannah. This is all Hannah's words. I've not heard Huda's side. This is all Hannah's words. But Hannah was saying how she was opening up to Huda, and the reason that it was not on camera, because she was saying, like, I have a lot of really personal traumas that I think I might be ready to talk to Pepe about, but I just don't really know how to do it. And Huda says, girl, I'm here for you. I'm your friend. Practice on me. Tell me what's going on. And that can be your practice for Pepe. And so Hannah opens up about all these personal traumas that, again, weren't on camera or weren't on televised because of the personal nature of them. And then she immediately went, and then after that chat, Hannah goes to see Pepe and is like trying to work on having the courage to say the things that she had just talked about with Huda, and Huda comes in and pulls him for a chat. Kat, you're shaking your head. What are your thoughts?
That is diabolical. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, oftentimes I think that, like, when watching reality TV, I sometimes can skew towards giving people too much credit. Because a lot of them are hot, empty shoeboxes. There's just not a lot going up there. Like, the manipulation level is quite low because it's just one thing at a time. But, like, this is the other thing is, like, I couldn't even believe that Huda used it as an excuse that she was like, I'm new to this. It's like, you've witnessed, regardless of what you were up to in the villa, you've watched how everybody moves in this villa, and you can't just be like, I'm new to this. Like, and also, it is my personal belief that when it came time to vote Jalen or Huda out and Iris picked Huda to save, I think that was because Iris was afraid. Because she was like, if Huda stays and I didn't
100%.
vote for her, I don't want to make my life hell. And so, like, to hear
Absolutely.
this stuff about Huda, I'm just like, girl, come on, like, do yourself some kind of favor.
Get her out. Like it's just, it is so past. Like, I don't think that, because I think, even if there are future bombshells, or even these guys at Casa who claim to have not seen anything, I don't know when they take their phones. So I don't know how, caught, but I don't believe there's a single person there that has no idea what Huda's been up to with Jeremiah. Like, that doesn't at least have like something of a clue. And she's ruined, like, and I was saying this like as it was happening, as was all of America and the whole world that's watching. She is ruining her chances of anybody wanting to talk to her post Jeremiah, just because like nobody, like, guy seeing her prance around the villa and be like, fuck you, bitch. And then also like going up to them and being like, America must have seen something, like Kat, like you were talking about this earlier, like her being like, America knows something I don't know. And it's like, no, Jeremiah has actually been like curving people that are trying to talk to him for you. And now you've just gotten into your own head and convinced yourself that he's been cheating on you or like whatever you would call it at this stage. Like, I just don't believe there's going to be anybody that can look past that. And she's still like, I think hearing Hannah say that stuff too, like on the show. And I listened to a good chunk of it, and her talking about too, like how much they cut out of all of them having to comfort her at different stages. Like her, even when they weren't talking, her just breaking down like 5 or 6 times a day throughout the day over Jeremiah. And then like pulling him for chats that we didn't get to see, and people trying to like stop them from like, I feel like they said this before the vote, like last week. They're like, she has made this villa like a toxic place that we can no longer foster our own connections because we're having to look after her. And then they've kept her there this whole time. And I still feel like, even though that's not like, it's not Huda and Jeremiah like poisoning the whole villa, I still feel like she's carrying enough of that poison herself that it's still affecting people, and nobody's going to want to talk. Like, there's no way she's going to win. There's no way it's going to go down to the end and she's going to, like, it's just, I don't think it's worth it for her to be there anymore, especially. And like, after hearing the stuff that Hannah had to say, there's just no telling like what all is actually going on. And it's just, I don't know. I just, it'll be week 3. If we're back here again next week and she's still gone, it'll be get Huda out week 3. But I really feel like if there's going to be a time for her to be gone, it's now. Cause I don't know if this Casa stuff, I don't know how it's going to play out, because obviously they're doing things way different, but it just doesn't seem like the vibes are there for her and JD. And I don't think like whatever, I think it's given to me that JD is just like, wow, I want to be on Love Island as long as possible. So like, I'll couple up with Huda, sure. But then once it comes time to like, for everybody else, somebody else to vote them out and see that the connection's fake and not genuine, like I'm sure they're going to start voting people out. So I don't know. I just get her out, man. Like, I know I just ranted for like 5 minutes on this, and we're already an hour in, but so sorry for that, but just get her out. I'm even though I agree with you, TJ, and everybody, I believe you all said that she has been better since Jeremiah. It's not been as, as toxic and dramatic, but I still think it's enough of it left behind that it's not worth it for her to be there anymore. I don't think.
When we talk about the end of the episode, I will be bringing you back to Huda, Adam. So just wait.
Yes.
No,
Caroline.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I have been someone who honestly, like, I'm gonna be like the minority on this. I kind of like, do I think Huda is, I think in her mind, everything that she's seeing, she's being provoked. Like, in her mind, constantly, she is being provoked. And I
She's got main character syndrome.
Right. And I think like it makes me feel bad for her, because I think the world and like the country and the world has kind of given her too much flack, and she's going to come back and she's going to get her phone and then she's going to read the comments and be like, oh my God, like that's not going to be good for her. That's the one thing. And the second thing is like, she is just, I think she's someone who like, she's provoked. She feels like she's been provoked, and she's going to act on it like someone who has been provoked has been. I think this is the wrong atmosphere for her, the same way that I think like this is the wrong atmosphere for a lot of the girls that have been casted this year, like this season on this show. This is just not the place for them. They are going to find love in other places. I think Huda is someone who honestly is capable of finding love, as a lot of people are, but just having someone's breakdowns and crash outs and just lowest moments broadcasted to millions of people around the world for entertainment, I think like at that point it's not good for her. Like it's just not. I hope that she does not get sent home in a situation that involves the girls the girls deciding who should go home. I hope it's in a way that is more organic and is in a way that tells Huda, we don't hate you, we never did. And maybe even if they did hate her, that doesn't really like matter. In her mind, I think when she goes home, she needs to go home in the right headspace. Or else like we're gonna enter this era where she's gonna come home and she's just gonna lose her mind. And I think like I would not wish that upon my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. I mean, like, because fame, like, I mean, we saw it. I'm gonna bring in like non-reality TV examples, but like we saw it with Chapel Road. We continue to see it with people when they get thrusted into fame and like seeing every single moment of your life broadcasted and dissected and discussed. I think that is something that she is gonna have to work through now, and like she needs to go home like in a positive light. And I think that's what the producers are working on now, to do that, to give her that positive light, and then to say, hey, it's your time to go home. Like you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. Like that's how I see her. I don't know.
Where I'll push back on that just a little bit is that she is not, I don't think this is something you can, like her state of being is something you can Band-Aid patch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you can like get her to the point where it's like, hey, it's going to be okay. Let's just get you home. Everything's going to be fine. I almost feel like she needs a rock bottom so she can change. Because while like
she hit it. That's so funny.
Maybe that's a good point. That could be a
I mean, quite literally, she hit rock bottom because when we found out Olandria left, she literally like fell to her knees on the floor sobbing. Like,
my thing is though, if that were actually true, she should have already gone the fuck home because she shouldn't have been there in the first place. When you have a little baby, you shouldn't be there. Love Island is not the place for you. I'm a new parent. I'm all for asserting your independence because it's really hard and you got to take care of yourself and make sure you are doing things for yourself. But Love Island's not the place.
That baby's not a little baby. That baby is 4.
Phil, that's little
that baby can make choices for herself. TJ, come on,
come on. She's a mamacita. Okay,
that baby's turning on Love Island every night and watching Mama.
Oh my God, can you imagine turning it on? Your mama's in the middle of a twerk battle.
Wow, little baby, look how good your mama is at twerking. She is really
the interesting thing that you say about like in regards to the mental,
really good at it.
She is very good at twerking. But like the last night during the episode was the first time that I've ever seen them post a bulletin that says like you have to stop cyberbullying. Like Love Island is about love. Like stop. And to be honest, I don't understand why any human being would send another human being a death threat, especially over reality TV. Like, even when people like Star Wars fans are like, that's not canon. I'm like, okay, take a second. But like specifically with reality TV, I'm like, it is not that big of a deal. You need to calm down. Like, there's no reason to be going after someone that way.
I'll just say, like, I think I speak for all of us and I feel comfortable saying this, that for anybody listening, when we talk about people we don't like, or we say things like get such and such out of my villa, we are speaking about them only as characters on a TV show and not as people. We're not speaking about them in real life. I think all of us would be very cordial to anybody not that we'll ever meet any of these contestants, but if we did,
we're getting Huda on the podcast.
Yeah, we're getting Huda on the pod.
Huda on the podcast just so that Adam can see Huda face to face.
And I would say to her face, Huda, I don't think you are a bad person, but you should not be in this villa. You are being toxic, girl.
Right. I just want to say, just to be crystal clear, because I was a little surprised to see that message, but I mean, not that it was a bad thing, but I was just kind of like, damn, there are a lot of people being like really, really mean. But just anything that we say that's negative, we are strictly talking about characters on a TV show. I know these are not characters because they are real people and stuff, but
they've been characterized.
But yeah, I mean, they are still like, I mean, they had that, they're being produced, they're being like, we're only seeing parts of their lives. They are at this point, from what the part of them that we see, they are characters, and that's who we're talking about. We don't wish anything. I think I speak for all of us when I say we don't wish anything but the best for all of these people in the real world, even if that means we don't want them on Love Island anymore. Just
snap. Yeah, because this is the other thing. Leave the villa, get a brand deal.
Yeah,
leave the villa, get a brand deal.
Go get famous. I mean, they're already famous, but
is like waiting for the day that Huda leaves that island. Like they're sitting there, like the social media, like the marketing teams are all like, when is she coming home? Like, can she please come home? Because this brand deal is gonna go crazy. Like she's already, I think, setting herself up for a great career. I don't know. I think she's gonna do very well off this island. Like once she gets out of that environment, I just don't think that was the right environment for her to begin with.
And going back to what you were saying, Adam, is I think like when people sign up to be in the limelight, they sign up for a certain amount of, okay, people will be talking about you. But I think especially when you have negative opinions, where the line is immediately crossed, and it's same with something like a professional athlete. You don't need to go directly to this person and start trying to tag them and shit and send them messages. Like if you're watching sports and you're mad at a game, you can be like, oh, this person played like shit, I'm mad. You don't tag them and be like, you are shit, how did you play that way? Like you don't, there's like, who do you think you are? Why do they need to hear that from you?
You need to perish from this existence because you didn't play in this game very well, or you acted in my space movies that I've liked since I was 5, and now suddenly they don't look the same as what they did when I was 5. Like, or the superheroes in my movies look a little not like Robert Downey Jr. Oh no, what are we gonna do, guys? What? It's not like we saw Iron Man literally die like 6 years ago. Like, I don't know what you want. I think this speaks to such, like, again, to us as fans, as someone who's analyzed all of this. I think that message to us specifically, and maybe to other people who have been in fandom spaces, it spoke very personally. Like, we know what they're talking about. We know we've seen this film before, and we didn't like the ending. And I think they're trying to end things about, like, before they start, because they're going to start like there's a person before Love Island, and then there's a person after Love Island, and I think they're trying to make that transition just a little bit easier on the people that are on that show. And yeah, I think we've seen it before. We don't like the ending, so we gotta help. We gotta make sure that everything is good before we send them back home.
Realistically, that should be a disclaimer at the beginning of all of these episodes. But I think specifically for something like Love Island, where season 4, I really think of USA is when it started going crazy. Like, we had the Zeta winter season where everybody loved, not only did everyone love Zeta, but everyone loved that whole cast. Like, that was a really, really enjoyable season of television. And all of a sudden, this viewership just started going crazy, and people started immediately going to follow all of these people on social media all the time and try and interact with them. And a lot of the people wanted to interact with their fans to grow their viewer base. And so this parasocial relationships between viewers and people on the show, I think, became normalized. And especially with like things like the Kaylor and Aaron stuff last year, where everybody wanted to give their 2 cents because Aaron was just happening 12 times an episode. And so it opened up the door. And then Huda, people really wanted to pile in on the Huda thing. And I think it not only crossed the line with Huda specifically, but like it got to the point where Casa hadn't even started yet. Who's the 21-year-old blonde one from Casa? Vanna?
Yeah.
Casa hadn't even started yet. People had not met Vanna. People had not heard Vanna speak. They had saw a picture, and she was already just getting roasted on the internet and attacked with like aggressive, like, you know, it's, I think there's a way to have a good conversation and like a proper conversation of like, wow, what is the reason why so many young people feel compelled to get a plastic surgery so early in life while their body is still changing and growing? you can have that conversation healthily. And I feel like she was just getting aggressively attacked before we had even met her, just because she had plastic surgery on her face and was only 21 years old. And so I feel like it was a good time for them to really like try and, okay, enough. Okay. Like everybody was going crazy with this whole Huda Jeremiah situation, but now they kind of deserved it. Let's lay off and stop attacking everybody else. Not the death threats and things like that, but I mean like the storm around them, right? Like they caused a storm. Everybody wanted to get in their 2 cents, and then it just piled over and everybody got carried away is sort of what I meant by that.
Well, and I also feel like the Love Island producers, there has been more of an ask from audiences and family members of contestants that they need to do more to support their contestants, because I don't know if you remember, but like after last season, everything that happened about Kendall, and like he was not doing well, and his family was like, the Love Island producers should be doing something, like it's because of this level of fame, like how can they not, how is there no protection? And so I do think that since then as well, Love Island producers have probably wondered like, how do we assert ourselves into certain situations to say like this is inappropriate and don't do that.
That's a really good point. And I think Huda was a really good first challenge for them after the Kendall situation, because it's once again like, this is a character that is not popular because of their own actions, but that doesn't mean they deserve attacks for all of these things outside of the show.
No.
And they deserve to have things spread around about them and things like that. Is they did not sign up for that. They signed up for people to have opinion on how they act on the show. They did not sign up to be attacked with all of these other things outside of it and have their family attacked and things of that sort. So I think that is a really, really good point. I'd forgotten about that Kendall situation, but it did heavily surprise me when I saw he was so featured in like the Love Island season 6 reunion. I'm like, dude, why are you there? I would not be going back. Like, I would not be going back, but I guess
he's all over Beyond the Villa too. He's like the star of that new spinoff, Beyond the Villa.
Seriously.
I don't like
people
that,
like
man.
money.
I don't want
overall people just like money.
Happen to him to continue to happen, but man, I don't like that man. Caroline, I'll throw this to you, and we'll kind of breeze through this quickly because I don't actually think we have to spend that much on it because the Casa people, for the most part, are pretty boring. Yeah. But are there any Casa couples you like better than the regular couples, or any Casa individuals you really hope stick around for a while?
Like, I hate to be like, no. Honestly, no. I feel like they're all so boring. I don't like watching them all talk. Here's the deal. Like, I understand why the producers changed the rules on this, and they're like, well, you guys need to make new connections, and like, we're gonna shake things up because you guys don't have the same established connections that would make the previous rules of Casa Amour work. But also at the same time, like, watching out like an hour's worth of content of people being like, oh yeah, like, what's your favorite color? Oh, mine is red. Oh, we have the same favorite color. It's like we're tethered. It's like getting really exhausting. Like, it's just getting really grating. And I think again, I understand why they did it, but at the same time, like, I'm getting absolutely nothing from these new couples. Like, watching, and I'm gonna bring up the ending of the of the most recent episode of, I think her name is Jaden, like, it didn't stand up for Nick. I'm like, you sat there and like you thought that you had a better connection with Austin? Are you?
No trust. I don't trust that woman.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Like, I need you to be serious for just 1 second. Like, it's just, to me, I feel like I'm getting I like Coco. I like the 6'8" guy that's with Shelly, and I can't wait for him. I can't wait for him to come back, for Shelly and this guy to come back. I don't even know his name, to come back to the villa. And then Ace is like so tiny, and he's like, what?
Side-by-side photo of Ace and Shelly and Chris, and like, based on the size of the photo, Chris's head's cut off.
Yeah, literally.
That's how tall he is.
That's what's gonna happen. I like that. To me, I can't wait for that shakeup. But at this, like, I just don't think that I don't think casting did very well this season. I really don't care for very many of the Casa girls or the Casa boys. I find them all just I find them all like blocks of wood. Like they're there. I don't know.
I'll just add, one, I agree, but to the Jaden thing, my take on the whole situation was that when it came time to pick, and I think what was going through her head was, if I go with Nick, I now have to contend with Sierra, and they've been one of the strongest couples.
That's
but
true.
If I stay with Austin, like, I don't really have that much competition because he's clearly not interested in them. That was as I was watching it, that was my take on the whole, which, like, that's not, if you're actually chasing love, that's probably not what she should be doing, because she very clearly got along with Nick better, but I think she was intimidated by the competition. Like, I think she was in her head was probably like, fuck, I'm going to go in there and break up this couple. America's going to hate me. And I'm going to be splitting time with Nick. And then she's like, it's just not worth it. Fuck it. Like, I feel like I could just see her gears, because they do the thing where they always do, where it takes 30 seconds. Like, they're like, and the person they'd like to vote is, and then it's like 30 seconds. Like, I'm like, I know we have to have a dramatic pause, but sometimes they're a little extra with it, where it's like, it doesn't need to go quite that. But no, I mean, the Casa people, you're right. Like, there's nothing really to add, just because it's very boring. These last 2 episodes have been a slog. Like, there's been nothing interesting about watching them. Like, there's no couples that I'm pulling for. Like, the only thing that I'm even moderately excited about is the potential of Chris kind of getting between Shelly and Ace a little bit, just because I feel like Ace kind of needs to be knocked down a peg. He's so confident. Yeah, his ego is so inflated right now, and I feel like he hasn't been humbled or hasn't really felt threatened. And I want Chris to walk in and, not be mean to him, but kind of be like, wow, you the little 5'4" boy whose feet dangle off the couch and don't even touch the ground. I know we've all seen that picture. So, but like, you're the one that's
freaking off on the shelf. The other thing is that you brought up a really good point about how, like, Jaden kind of didn't want the competition, but she doesn't realize this, because no one does. She screwed herself over so bad, because the ending of that episode is so wild, and it was total fan service, but as a fan, personally, I was served. Like, honestly, that was awesome. It gave me the getaway car Taylor Swift realness that I was looking for and I deserved. Like, I don't know. I thought it was awesome. I didn't, like, freak out, but because I think I saw it on Twitter beforehand and I was like, wait, what? No. But at the same time, I was like, that was awesome. Like, good for them. Good for them. They had that chance. They saw that and they were like, oh, we know what we have to do now. And they did it. They took it. They knew exactly what they were doing. Like,
are we now going to move into talking about the end of the episode?
Let's do it. Let's switch into the end.
Okay, so no one stands up for Olandria, which is a fucking crime, because she's gorgeous and she's absolutely perfect and she's so wise.
Yeah.
But I went into an immediate state of denial. Like, what I equated it to when I sent a voice note to one of my friends was the moment when the snap happens in Infinity War and Spider-Man gets taken away. Because I was like, no, that's not happening. There's another movie coming out, so it's actually fine. But, like, it was like to stop myself from getting upset. And so as soon as it happened to Olandria, I was like, no, they won't do that, because she's a fan favorite and people will be so upset if they actually let her leave. And then no one stands up for Nick, and Nick is going home, and bless him for crying with his boys. That was so very beautiful and sweet to see, like, that male love altogether. But, like, as soon as that happened, I was like, 2 fan favorites, there's no way. They're like, the producers have to intervene. And so as soon as that car drove up at the end and Olandria was in it and told Nick to let's go, I was like, this is what I'm talking about. But again, like, I couldn't believe that Huda was crying so hard and then asking Olandria why she wasn't crying. I was like, girl, like, how do you always manage to make all of these things about you? Just like, do you know what I'm saying? I was just like, girl, you gotta let it go. Like, especially because Olandria just, like, takes everything in stride. But then when she was crying as she was leaving, she's like, I'm just here to find love, y'all. I was like, save this woman, please.
Couldn't agree more. I was texting you as it was happening. I was like, this is the worst Casa ever. Not only is it boring, but you're gonna keep all of these people that we have no invested time in and get rid of our two favorites on both sides? Like probably the number one favorite girl, maybe Shelly, maybe Sierra, but probably Olandria.
Olandria for sure.
And definitely the favorite guy by America. Like everybody loves Nick. Nick and Taylor. Some people love Ace, some people hate Ace, but like probably the fan favorite is Nick. And so I'm sitting there thinking, like, they can't do this, right? They can't be doing it. And then when it actually, they were like, get in the car, and we realized something's going to happen. This is my question to you all, because I could be totally off. Even just like getting my read on how Caroline, you talked about it first, then Kat, I feel like you may have different opinions on this. And so I'm going to ask it to Caroline first, then Kat, and Adam, I'm going to hope you can be the tiebreaker, unless I'm just wrong on this read. But do we think that the vote was just always planned to be this way? This is how the structure of the vote. They didn't really think of who would go home, or they thought it would be somebody else. And then as soon as it was Nick and Olandria, the producers went, oh shit, we can't have these two going home. Let's do something. Or do we think the producers saw the intense amount of fans who were shipping Olandria and Nick together and saying, look at how he looks at her. He's so in love. He smiles more when he sees her than the entirety of this other relationship. Do you think that was them going, ooh, let's orchestrate this and give the fans what they want for a night and see what happens? What do you think, Caroline?
Okay, I think I already touched on this, but my thoughts, I think it was kind of unplanned. I think Olandria left first, and they were like, okay, like, we can handle that. Let's see what happens with the boys. I think by this point, she's out of the villa. She's on her way back to the hotel or the airport, wherever she's going. And then they hear, oh, they just dumped Nick. And they were like, oh shit, we're turning this car around. We're changing up the whole storyline. We're going to make this up on the fly. We're going to figure it out. But we're going to do this because we know. Because the producers have seen this. I think, like, because to me, the fact, like, the only reason why I think this is because I go back to how it went, like, TJ, and then it went Ace, and then it went Nick. Like, it wasn't so clear cut. And same with, like, the girls too. I think, like, at first it was Amaya, and maybe there was a chance, and it was just all gonna depend on what Zach K did, and he ended up going with Amaya. And I think I think it was Tetris. I think all of the right pieces fell at the exact time, and they had the full row that they cleared, and they said, okay, we're like, all of the cards that we needed to make our big house of cards have now they've been built up. I think we have the chance to do something insane here. Do I think they know exactly what they're going to do? No, I don't think they know. But, like, at the same time, they know they have something special. I can't wait to see what they do.
Kat, what do you think? Was it the panic button and they said, oh, we can't have these two go home, let's switch it up? Or was it an orchestrated plan?
I think that I literally texted a friend yesterday and I was like, I think Love Island producers are also kind of like Hunger Games game makers. Like, they have to think of many contingency plans and create this world. But I think that they had a plan A and a plan B and a possible plan C. And I think it would have depended, because I honestly think that hypothetically, if it would have been TJ going home, I don't think they would have saved TJ. I think they would have probably just let him leave. But Nick and Olandria are so pivotal to the point that, like, I'm 90% sure that if Sierra found out in Casa that Nick got voted off, she would leave. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously she is considering these things with Elan that are like different, and she's got questions, but she still can't stop thinking about Nick. And I'm not too sure what Taylor's response would be about hearing Olandria left. But I think that there was probably, like, I hate to say this, but like a tier of people where it's like, if these people get sent home, they're going home. If these people get sent home, maybe we'll do something. And if these people get sent home, then we for sure have to do plan B. But
That
what
makes sense.
plan B is, I have no idea. I think they know what they're doing, but I don't know what they're doing.
I'm wondering if they're just going to be fully coupled up and back in the island and be like, these two are now a couple. Deal with it. What's going to happen? Adam, what do you think? Was this panic button or was it a well thought out plan?
So I like what Kat said about there probably being like kind of like tiers of a kind of a contingency plan, because I agree. I think if it had been TJ, they'd been like, later, like have fun wherever you're going. Like I do not think anybody would have cared if TJ would have gone home. But I do like to think that when that happened, also like Caroline said, that they were probably like, okay, let's back this train up a little bit because we cannot lose our 2 star players on both sides, like in the same episode. That can happen. I will say I feel pretty staunchly that this isn't a stunt to get Nick and Olandria together, just because I've been a little, I'll admit, this might be an unpopular opinion. I've been a little off put by the whole Nick Olandria thing, just a little bit, because I feel like Olandria has made it very clear that she's a slow burn kind of person who likes to have her mind stimulated. She doesn't take kindly to just this hot guy just jumping up on top of her and being like, I'm hot. Like that kind of, like a lot of these guys are doing. And like we saw that that's what Zach tried to do. Zach was like, well, maybe we can have a kiss later. And she's like, fuck you. Like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like she is such, and that's just not how Nick is. I talked about this last week. Nick is a golden retriever that does not have a brain cell. Nick is not the person to mentally stimulate her. He is not that person at all. And I don't know how mentally stimulating Taylor is, but Olandria seems to be really happy with him. So like, I think if this was going to happen with a couple, I think it would have to be 2 people who are just like very weak-willed and that they just see another hot person and are like, I can probably get down with you. Or like, that's just not Olandria at all. Like if it was Nick and somebody else, I could see it. Cause like Nick was already at Casa, I think talking to Vanna for a little bit. And then also talking to, what's the girl who Jaden. That's right.
Jaden's the guy the girl that he wanted. That's
right. Yeah. So if it was any like them, I could see it, but it's just the kind of thing. I don't think Olandria is as interested in him as, and I'm like, I can see it on his side, because I can just see absolutely Nick being like, sure, I'll couple up with her. I ain't got no problem with that. And she's going to be like, I'm kind of good on that. But to me, just to speak on the ending as a whole briefly, I'll say it's given me the vibes of like, because this has obviously been a very controversial thing. This is the first time something like this, at least since I've been watching. I don't remember this happening last season was my first season, that they did not allegedly vote somebody out just to like bring them back like an episode later or whenever they're going to do this. And people are like, people are happy about it. They're like, oh, this is like the plot. And Love Island and Peacock were marketing this as the biggest plot twist in Love Island history. Well, the analogy of it to me is like instead of like Casa is supposed to be, you build this thing up and it's great. Like you went up from where you started at because it's entertaining. You're breaking up couples. You're doing all this stuff. To me, they dug themselves into a hole, and then like somebody helped them out of the hole, and they just filled the hole back in, and now they're standing on top of it. We are in the exact same spot we were. We've just got like nobody that we cared about is going home, or really even I don't think at a threat of going home, because like there's no couples at Casa that are going to threaten the ones we've seen in the villa, like the actual couples. Like Amaya or Huda or Austin might go home, but none of them were in like a strong couple that we would care to see broken up. Like the people want to see Nick and Sierra together. They want to see Taylor and Olandria together. And I don't think either one of them would have gone home. Like even if Jaden would have chosen Nick, I don't think Nick would have ultimately picked her over Sierra once he like got back to the villa and spent more time with Sierra. So it just feels like they had to do this big thing to get themselves back on even footing to just where they were before. I don't think this has been some elevating thing, which is what people expect from Casa. Like people have been waiting all season for Casa. Like when's Casa? I can't wait for Casa. Let's do this. And they know that. And they started marketing the shit out of it like a few days before. Casa's coming on Wednesday or on Tuesday or Monday or whenever it was. It's like Casa's coming, 2 more episodes, 1 more episode. Like they know what people were expecting from it. And it seems like it's just kind of flopped. So I don't know. the whole thing has just been like Casa compared to last year, like seeing like Rob get with Andrea, I think was her name, in Casa, and then come back and spend a few days and having to go. Like I feel like we saw so many good connections in Casa that like really threatened connections. Again, comparing it to like last year, it's just been a flop, I think.
Yeah. I agree with that one. And I was talking, that was the same thing Kat and I were talking about earlier. And I was saying how I kind of just feel like it's shitty storytelling the way that they did it, at least until the pre-credit stinger of they're keeping us with people we've spent no time with and haven't emotionally invested in. They're getting rid of the two that we have the most. And you're also at the same time getting rid of the most exciting element of Casa Amour, which is that you either couple up with a new person or you risk being single. And how they used to do it, like they kind of just seem like they've taken away all the risk. How they used to do it was if your partner comes home with somebody else and you're single, you go home. If your partner comes out single and you're with somebody else, they go home. If you're both in a relationship, you both stay in your relationships. If you're both single, you couple up. So like the stakes were high. People had to choose not just do I have a better connection, but have they had a connection? Because if they have a connection and I don't, and I pick someone, I go home. And it was just like this very, very intense kerfuffle. And they've kind of just taken away all the stakes of Casa Amour. It sort of seems like it's just totally stakeless now. We're an hour 30 through, so I'm gonna pump us just towards the end. Caroline, I'll throw it to you. Do you have any final thoughts or predictions for the next set of episodes?
I was gonna bring that up actually based on what Adam said about like how like they don't really know, like Olandria doesn't like thinks that like we think, or he thinks that like she's not gonna like Nick because she's very intellectually minded. I think they're gonna give them the time to get to know each other. And I think I heard people talking about Hideaway. I think they're going to go to Hideaway. I think they're going to like set this whole new place up to let them get to know each other and let them build a bond, because that's what they know. That's how they know Olandria is. I think what they're going to do is have them be a couple and then come back to the villa once, because everyone goes back. Like that's the whole thing. Everybody's going back. Everyone's going to mingle. Everyone's going to be there. It's going to be all interesting. I think like that's going to be when they come back and they reveal that they were there the whole time. That's going to be the big reveal at the end of like a few episodes down the line. They're here. They were here the whole time. They've made a connection. Like, good luck, babe. Have fun with that. To Sierra and to Taylor. And then we're going to see how that unfolds. But that's not going to be for a few episodes because I think they're going to give them the time. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to give them the time to get to know each other because they know, they see it. I think America saw it. Like the producers see it. They're going to have that spark. I think we're going to see that develop even as Casa and Villa are going on.
Adam, how about you? Any final thoughts, any theories or predictions for the future episodes?
From the moment we saw them get into the car, I turned to Taylor, my partner who I was watching with, and I said, my guess is we're going to see, they're going to hold them out for a few episodes. But instead of trying to get them together, what we're going to see is Taylor, because, you know, Taylor's got a couple of girls in Casa that he's vibing. He said, whoever the girl he's talking to now, he's like, she's basically Olandria in a different body. So I think Taylor is probably a little more weak-minded than we perhaps thought. And so I think they're going to fake send Olandria home, and they're going to let everybody think that, you know, people have gone home for a couple of days. And the same with Nick. And they're going to let Sierra and Taylor the producers are going to go to work, like a lot of camera time on them, like a lot of chats, a lot of all these kinds of things, getting Sierra and Taylor to kind of like slowly start to grow into another connection. And then they're going to do the, like, we're bringing in two bombshells thing. And then the two of them are going to come walking in and it's going to be like, oh, fuck. Like Taylor's going to be like, I'm so sorry. I thought you were gone. And I didn't know it wasn't more. And she's going to like, and then when movie night comes around, because, you know, both sides, like Taylor especially, is going to be like, well, no, I was ready to come back to you when, you know, and then you weren't here. And then it's going to show him at Casa being like, she's just Olandria in another body. And she's going to be like, hey, fucking excuse me? You said what? You didn't know I was on. So that's my prediction. I think they're going to give them some time to settle into some new connections and then bring them back to like bust things up and start some drama. That's what I hope. What I hope happens at least.
I think you almost exactly nailed it, but I'm going to make one tweak. They're not going to be bombshells coming back into the video. They're going to get a text and it's going to say you've been selected for a date.
That's good too.
Who's going to enter the villa. They're going to go on the date and see their ex. That's how I think it's going to play out.
That's a good one.
Kat, how about you? Any final thoughts? Any predictions?
I'm not sure. I think that there's a part of me that just like wants to be surprised by whatever's coming. And so I'm really ready. I hope that the producers use this whatever. I just hope that they proceed wisely. I hope that they proceed in a very interesting fashion. I think that they, because of the advertising that they've been doing, I think that they've got really big hopes for this season. So I'm really interested to see with what they decide. But I do think that, like, as a larger prediction, I don't think we're very far off from Love Island USA having to do a Love Island Australia Casa Amour. One of the seasons, they sent the girls away to Casa and there were no guys there. And so they just spent the week alone getting like texts and videos about what their guys were doing at the villa.
It was so wild.
But it was because they were trying to break up these really secure connections, because by the time Casa went in, everybody was so locked in. They were like, we have to shake this up somehow. And so I think, and then the next year on Australia, they didn't do Casa Amour. And so I have a feeling that because people are starting to settle into the rhythm with Love Island USA, we are not that far off from things having to be shaken up a lot more when it comes time for Casa.
Very well said. I love it. Caroline, Kat, Adam, thank you so much for this wonderful show. This was absolutely awesome. You're all great. I want to have all of you back on to do this again. So let's make it happen. I know we're going to have Emma back on for the first, or not back on for the first time for this Love Island season next week. I know we got Ash, who's going to be joining us in the next few weeks as well. But we're definitely going to make it happen with these three people, because this was an absolute blast. Hell, if somebody else wants to host, I'll get the hell out of here and just leave it to the masters as well. But this has been a lot of fun. Thank you all so much for your insights. To everybody watching, whether you're watching live or after the fact, smash the like button, subscribe, notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our shows. We got a lot of great stuff coming. Next week, Monday, we're talking The Bear. Tuesday, we're talking maybe nothing on Tuesday. Tuesday might be a day off. Wednesday, we're talking Love Island. Thursday, we're talking Comic Corner. Friday, we're talking Ironheart. So we got lots of stuff all week long. We will have our first review of the first 3 episodes of Ironheart on Disney Plus this coming Friday. We will also have our interview with Ironheart, a couple of the executive producers behind Ironheart, coming shortly, probably tomorrow, Thursday, today, if you're listening to this on Thursday. And so we got lots of really fun stuff coming. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, notification, all the good stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. We will see you next time. On behalf of myself, Caroline, Adam, and Kat, peace.
Bye.